The Franklin County Sheriff says a woman arrested after a standoff in Lexington is also behind a gas station robbery.
A trick-or-treat nightmare. More on the disturbing discovery one parent found in their child's candy bag. And the Appalachian Wildlife Center in Bell County received a $12.5 million grant. Find out what's planned there ahead at 4:30.
This is WKYT News at 4:30.
Good afternoon. Sam, Dick, and Amber Philpott reporting. The Franklin County Sheriff says the woman behind a gas station robbery is also connected to a standoff here in Lexington.
WKYT's Sean Moody has more on how police connected the two crimes. It's our top story at 4:30.
2 days before Lexington police arrested a woman after a standoff, the Franklin County Sheriff says she was here at this gas station robbing it. Today, a grand jury indicted her.
The robbery happened last Sunday night. Surveillance video from inside the gas station shows a robber approaching the clerk with a gun. The sheriff said the robber is covered in some kind of white substance, maybe paint or powder. Initially, investigators weren't sure if this person was a man or a woman. That person gets away with cash from the register. 2 days later, on Tuesday evening, Lexington police arrested Robin Holbert after a standoff along Versailles Road. They said they pulled her over because the car she was in had been reported as stolen. They said she ran from them and had a gun. That's what triggered the standoff situation. It ended peacefully after several hours. The Franklin County Sheriff said they got several tips from the public that the gas station robber was Holbert.
Our detectives did a great job on this, and she did admit to the robbery that it was her. And the evidence that Lexington has is consistent with what she had during this robbery and what we've got on video.
Holbert is still listed as an inmate at the Fayette County Detention Center. In Frankfort, Sean Moody, WKYT.
A Franklin County grand jury indicted Holbert on charges of robbery and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon today. It is November 1st, but it sure doesn't feel like it out there.
Feels like September or August, but not November 1st. Let's check in with our friend Chris Bailey, our chief meteorologist. Chris, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Did we break a record?
We tied it in Lexington, okay. 83 degrees a little earlier this afternoon. Not only the date for today, the November 1st, that's 83 is the warmest we've ever been in the month of November. 9 live sky cams. Louisville sky cam being a little shy. Why are you being shy on a day like this? Look outside at those sky cams, mix of sun and clouds, and if you just look at the sky, the clouds, it has a summer look and feel to it, doesn't it? I mean, look at that Lexington skyline. If you were just pulling me out of being in hibernation for a couple of years, I'd say, yeah, that's probably September. Jackson Skycam, notice the mountains there. A little hazy. That's likely to be some smoke from some forest fires that are breaking out into parts of eastern Kentucky. Upper 70s to low 80s. 79, cool spot into Somerset. 81, Lexington, Mount Sterling. 70s to our north. Low 80s across most of the Bluegrass State this afternoon. All of this ahead of a cold front that's off to our west. So you've got the warm air today. You're going to keep it for tomorrow. But that front will then arrive as we go into Thursday, and that's going to bring changes into town with some showers and thunderstorms. So we can put away the shorts and the flip-flops that we have out today and tomorrow, because by the end of the week, it's going to feel more like it should for early November, guys. We'll break that down when I come back in about 10 minutes.
Chris, thank you. One parent made a shocking discovery after their child went trick-or-treating in West Virginia and eastern Kentucky. The Mingo County Sheriff's Office says the parent found this in their child's candy. It's a needle stuck in a mini Snickers bar. Deputies say the child trick-or-treated in parts of Mingo County and Pike County, Kentucky. And they're still investigating what happened. They're also encouraging people to double-check their Halloween candy before they eat it. A wildlife theater, a museum of natural and regional history. Those are just a few of the things that we're told will make up the Appalachian Wildlife Center in Bell County.
That project took a big leap forward this morning when state and local leaders gathered to announce a major funding boost thanks to a multi-million-dollar grant. Caleb Noe has the details.
Well, what a beautiful backdrop this was for today's program, which marks one major milestone in the process of completing a project which has been in the works now for decades.
Let's seize this opportunity because it will be extraordinary.
Governor Matt Bevin wore a lapel pin showing scissors cutting through red tape.
The way projects like this happen is when people cut through the red tape.
More than 2 decades of red tape in this case, and more work still left to do.
That's sunny side.
But today's announcement of a more than $12 million grant is a big step in the right direction.
This is one of the proudest moments that I've had. We've been working on this with a lot of people for a long, long time.
I stand here more humbled today than I've been in a long time, and I don't remember being more humbled than I am today.
The Wildlife Center is expected to cost around $24 million total, so this grant from the U.S. Office of Surface Mining and Reclamation Enforcement will cover more than half of that cost. Leaders hope the Wildlife Center will be open by June of 2019, and they expect it to bring in millions of people to southeastern Kentucky within just a couple of years.
And that was Caleb No there reporting. There were also separate grants recognized this morning totaling $8 million for projects in Harlan, Pikeville, and Clay County. Voters in 5 states will head to the polls next week, not just to vote for who will be president, but whether or not to legalize recreational marijuana.
If all the measures pass, nearly a quarter of this country's population would live in a state where marijuana is allowed. Miriam Virial explains how this could send a strong message to Congress.
This is today's pot, 10 times stronger than a marijuana cigarette.
The ads are ominous.
You decide who wins, criminals and cartels or Arizona schools.
And the stakes are high. Those who support recreational pot say this year's election could be a tipping point in the decades-long debate over the country's most popular drug.
Marijuana is now at the forefront of mainstream American politics. If we win big, we have a chance to end federal marijuana prohibition.
That includes changing federal banking laws that currently prohibit banks and credit unions from taking money made off marijuana sales.
Why are they putting marijuana stores ahead of community centers?
California, the largest state in the country, is the most important battleground.
This is a David and Goliath fight for us on the no on legalization side. We are fighting against massive corporate interests with tens of millions of dollars. They've outspent us 15 to 1.
Here in California, the marijuana measure is expected to pass, but in states like Massachusetts, Arizona, and Nevada, the polls are much closer. Both sides are using Colorado and Washington's experience with legal pot to support their argument. Colorado legalized recreational pot 4 years ago. Governor John Hickenlooper told 60 Minutes it hasn't been easy.
Even with all the problems we have and the challenges, I think we might be able to do this. But I'm not so confident that I'm telling other states, yeah, go for it. This is a slam dunk.
Mireya Villarreal, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And if you need an absentee ballot for this election, today is the last day you can get one in Kentucky. Now, in the Commonwealth, you have to have a reason for not being able to make it to the polls on Election Day in order to get an absentee ballot. To apply for one, go to your county clerk's office or request one online. Completed ballots must be mailed back in and reach your county clerk by 6 p.m. on Election Day, which is a week from today.
Coming up, we'll tell you why a former Disney darling is taking some heat for her Halloween costume.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Happy November, everybody. Day 1 of the month, just a few hours away from being in the books, and absolutely gorgeous. You got to check the calendar to make sure it's not lying to you. Live sky cam looking across Winchester Road, Hamburg Pavilion, and a summertime sky that is over top of the bluegrass. Temperature in Lexington is 9 degrees warmer than yesterday. Northern Kentucky, we were a lot chillier yesterday afternoon. Right now it is 17 degrees warmer into Covington. Maysville 16 degrees. Notice Southern Kentucky. Hey, you were on the south side of that warm front yesterday, so you were already warm 24 hours ago. Right now, low 80s take up residence across most of central and eastern Kentucky, and it is a mild one out there this evening with temperatures dropping from the 70s into the mid and upper 60s. 11 o'clock thermometers tonight are above where we should be for normal high temperatures this time of year. Crazy stuff. And you get one more day of it. A little bit of cloud cover streaming on in across the Ohio Valley. Warm air not only for the Bluegrass State and surrounding areas, but this goes all the way back toward the southwest, where November in Texas ushered in with 90-degree thermometers. Cold front that's out across the Plain States makes a run at us on Thursday. That's going to produce at least a broken band of some showers and thunderstorms. Not a ton of rain. Some of us may pick up a 1/4 of an inch if we're lucky. May push a 1/3 or a 1/2 an inch. but it will be the chilly changes coming in behind that will usher in a little more seasonal brand of temperatures by the time we hit the day on Friday. So here's your front that is on the move right on top of the region as we go through the day on Thursday. That puppy is screaming its way through here. It isn't going to hang out very long, and that is pushed by typical air for this time of year as we go into the late Thursday and into Friday. Temperatures are going to be roughly 25 degrees colder than where we are this afternoon for those highs, especially on Friday. We're going to be stuck likely into the 50s. Let's watch an extended hour-by-hour forecast to show you the temperature drop. Now, tomorrow the models are just a smidge cooler than what we have out there today, but a smidge cooler is still way, way, way above normal for this time of year, and we could be flirting with a record high again tomorrow. We go into Thursday. Here comes the front through the region by Thursday afternoon. Notice how the winds become northerly and temperatures drop into the 50s. Upper 40s showing up by 11 o'clock Thursday evening. Planning an outdoor activity on Friday. Chilly start in the morning, and we will end it with thermometers generally into the low 50s eastern Kentucky, mid and upper 50s across central and western parts of the area. High school football games on Friday night. Low 40s showing up by 11 o'clock already. Then we go into Saturday morning. Some patchy areas of frost, a good possibility. Saturday afternoon with some low 60s. Commonwealth Stadium on Saturday evening as the sun sets. For tailgaters out there, it's going to be a quick drop in temperatures. We'll have to bundle up, especially with some 40s showing up as we gear up for the second half of a lot of those games. Then as we go on into the day on Sunday, we're likely going to see temperatures that will begin to drop into the 30s again to start the day. So let's recap. Here comes a cold front, gusty showers and a rumble of thunder, and then the chillier air, seasonal chill, that is going to follow that up as we go into Friday and the start of the weekend. That weekend is awesome because of two things. The weather looks really, really great, and you're going to gain an hour of sleep Saturday night into Sunday morning. Yeah, we'll lose a little sunshine. At that point, I'll take the sleep.
You know, November 1st, I find myself getting ready to go out the door. I'm like, oh, I need a coat. Get outside, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's September.
Coat's still in the closet.
I know, right?
Still in the closet for
I'm
at least
just
a couple
trained
more
to think
days.
that way. It's November.
I know, and
you know?
driving around today, I'm telling you, I was coming in listening to Christmas music.
Doing the same thing.
And I'm thinking, and then I'm looking at, and it's like 79, 80 degrees on my car thermometer, and I'm like, something just does not mesh here.
We know how people in Florida feel.
Yeah,
seriously.
there you go.
Right. Yes, we do.
They are nominated for CMA Vocal Group of the Year. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about, catching up with Rascal Flatts when we return here on WKYT.
It's almost time for the 50th annual CMA Awards, and it's a big week in Nashville.
Our Deanne Stevens is out and about with Rascal Flatts. Hi, Deanne.
Hey, good afternoon, guys, from Nashville for the CMA Awards. It's not every day I get to hang out with Rascal Flatts. How's everybody doing?
We're fantastic.
Yeah, this is a super fun week for you guys. Nominated, of course, again. I guess that never gets old?
No, not at all. It's just it's such a blessing and just such an amazing thing to be nominated year after year, and we don't take it for granted, and we're humbled by it, and it's just we're looking forward to, especially on the 50th, you know. It's a big night.
It is a big night. 50th anniversary celebrating country music. You said you've been doing this for about 16 years now, right?
Yeah, 16 years.
Is that hard to believe?
In a lot of ways it is, and it's just flown by. We've been having so much fun, and to be a part of this, country music family, we feel very blessed and honored to be, shine the light in the 50th year this year.
Can y'all tell us any big secrets? Because they're like closing rehearsal. They're not letting us know anything, so we're just trying to we won't tell many people. Anything about the show?
Yeah, Brad and Carrie have been drunk the last 3 years they've done the show. I don't know if you can tell it or not, but there's some slurred words there.
Top secret.
There's some tripping around.
Yeah.
He sounds bad when he's singing because he's so trashed. So, a lot of people don't know the insider stuff, but we're going to give it to you.
We are getting it here from the Rascal Flatts. We wish you guys well for the show tomorrow night.
I'll be getting a phone call from both of them.
And listen, enjoy those moonshine truffles. You've already been
incredible.
Aren't they delicious?
Incredible. Yeah. Thank you.
Treats from Kentucky.
Thank you for such a sweet buzz.
I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about with Rascal Flatts here in Nashville. Back to you.
Yeah.
She gets to have all the fun, doesn't she?
She kind of hit a new high note there with her voice. She was excited.
She is excited. Lawyers for Bill Cosby are trying to keep his potentially damaging testimony from a lawsuit out of his sexual assault trial.
And the attorneys presented their case during a pretrial hearing in suburban Philadelphia. Kenneth Craig has the latest from the courthouse in Norristown.
Bill Cosby was back in court Tuesday as his lawyers and prosecutors argued over which evidence should be allowed at his upcoming sexual assault trial. During the hearing, Cosby's lawyers tried to suppress the recently unsealed deposition Cosby gave in 2005 during a civil lawsuit. Under oath, Cosby has admitted he gave pills to former Temple University employee Andrea Constand before a sexual encounter with her. Constand says she was too drugged to consent. Cosby says it was consensual. Cosby's attorneys say the former district attorney promised the comedian he wouldn't face charges for the encounter with Constand, otherwise he never would have testified. Constand is one of dozens of women who have accused the 79-year-old entertainer of sexual assault over several decades, but hers is the only case that's led to criminal charges.
During that pre-trial hearing here, prosecutors will also argue to let jurors hear from those 13 other women as they try to establish a pattern of behavior.
Because those witnesses allege drugging and raping also by Mr. Cosby, that it would show that he would know that they could not or would not consent if they were under the influence of drugs and or alcohol.
But Cosby's defense says too much time has passed for the women's memories to be reliable. Cosby has pleaded not guilty. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Bill Cosby's trial is set for next summer. He faces up to 10 years in prison if he is convicted.
Adele is opening up about her battle with postpartum depression in the new issue of Vanity Fair. The superstar also says she cut back on drinking and quit smoking after having her son. Adele says she used to be a massive drinker, but now only has 2 glasses of wine a week. The magazine hits newsstands Thursday.
Hilary Duff taking a lot of heat for her Halloween costume. The former Disney darling and her boyfriend John Walsh were blasted on social media for their pilgrim and Indian couple's costumes that people said were racially insensitive. The pair posted Twitter apologies saying the outfits were, quote, not properly thought through. The president and first lady dancing to a Halloween classic before handing out candy. A look at their dance moves coming up. I woke up this morning, I thought, the house feels kind of warm. Sure enough, we had the heat on. I thought, well, I need to have the air conditioning on. I mean, that's the way it's been.
We're all messed up right now, right, in terms of this crazy weather. But gosh, we're going to keep enjoying it while we can, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to get one more day of just the true summertime air. That's coming up tomorrow on a day that featured records across much of the region. On this first day of November, we may try to duplicate that again tomorrow. Right now, it is low 80s across central and eastern Kentucky. Last time we were this warm to start the month of November was back in 1987. We also hit 83 degrees. That's been the record so far for the day in Lexington. We hit 83 degrees on November 1st of 87. If you're playing along at home, November 10th of 87, it snowed. We look across the region right now, just shows you how fickle the weather is around here. Low 80s into much of central and eastern Kentucky, though 79 cool spots showing up now into Covington and across the Danville areas. And some changes obviously are coming down the pike. This gravy train isn't going to hang out forever. We'll track those a little later on. Right now, let's track the traffic. Here is Officer Don.
Outbound for Sales Road just past Forbes. Got a report on the tip line. There could be a stalled car in the right lane there. No major issue getting past that. Overall traffic view is okay on the circle right now. The heaviest stuff on the outer loop anywhere between Leestown over past for Sales Road. Drive times to Nicholasville still less than 15 to Paris via Paris Pike. We're doing okay. Normal stuff there. Now back to you in the studio.
Officer Don, thank you. A man gets into trouble while trying to show off some witch charity and President Obama getting into the Halloween spirit. It's the video that will have you talking. Take a look at this.
All right, this was a bad idea. Authorities in China say a man's attempt to impress a group of girls nearly cost him his life. It happened at a zoo there when the man seen in this footage snuck into a panda exhibit. Now, witnesses say the man allegedly was trying to show off by teasing the sleeping bear. The jokes quickly turned into panic when the panda grabbed this guy. Somehow he managed to escape its grip, climbed out of the exhibit, and left the zoo immediately. What an idiot. Police are now searching for him. That was not written in a copy. I had to say that. Are you kidding me?
Yes, and that doesn't impress girls, I don't think. Anyway, maybe you saw plenty of ghosts, vampires, and witches on Halloween night, but you probably didn't see any of them doing this. Some people in Florida saw a cackle of good witches out and about on Halloween. They were brewing up trouble for a good cause. A group of women dressed as witches ditched their brooms and hopped on bikes instead. It was all to raise money for the Children's Volunteer Health Network. Good for them.
I'm a cyclist. I'm thinking, though, don't get that caught in the
Nope,
chain. Be
that could
careful.
be bad.
All right, this is pretty neat. The president and first lady celebrating Halloween with trick-or-treaters at the White House. The president told the trick-or-treaters that their costumes were awesome and joked with the parents who were there on Halloween. Now, you don't have to pay attention to Michelle and her healthy eating is what he told them. The Obamas danced to Michael Jackson's Thriller with their costume-clad guests before handing out candy. I'm waiting to see him dance here. Come on, look at a little bit of a head bob there. I know they can dance better than that.
They can, and they have so much fun with the kids when they're there.
Their last Halloween in the White House.
It is their last Halloween. All right, stick with us. Here's what we're working on for you now at 5 o'clock.